Hey, pilot, welcome back to Ready for Pushback. I'm Nick Fialka. Thanks for joining me today. It's a big one. We are talking resumes.
It all started as a spark. Maybe it was the sound of jets racing across the sky, or the feeling of your heart racing as you watch a crop duster flying low and slow. Even then, you knew you were meant to fly. For pilots, it's more than just a job. It's a calling. The early mornings, the long hours, the relentless training, you didn't do it for the money. You did it for that moment when the wheels lift off and the earth falls away beneath you. But flying is just the beginning. The journey to your dream job takes more than just skill in the sky. It takes strategy on the ground and a lifetime of learning.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. Learn how to go from good to great, from flight school to regional to major, and from hopeful to hired. Whether you're sharpening your skills, building your resume, or preparing for that big interview, this is where pilots come to level up. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
The resume show is going to be very interesting today. I'm going to give you a big detailed analysis of resumes, and I need to give a special shout out to my man Ray, who is the executive officer of the Navy Blue Angel Flight Demonstration Team. One of my buddies came to me with a resume to take a look at, and I have been looking at so many resumes. I took a look, went through his resume, and then I jumped over on LinkedIn and asked for some too. So here we go. We're going to get into it because I want you to know a couple things about a resume. If you jump over to Google and you type in the word resume on an image search, you're going to see things like this. And they're really busy. And they've got photos, they've got graphics, they're colors, they're divided into columns. There's some like weirdo fonts. There's lots of pages. But none of those resumes show flight time. They don't show certifications or anything else that a pilot's got to have on a pilot resume. And when I decided to jump over to LinkedIn a couple months ago, I asked my network over there to send me their pilot resume. And by God, my pilot showed up. I got over 1,000 resumes emailed to me. I went through each one of them. And what I did is I made a list of what I liked, what I didn't. And today I want to take a deep dive into that, and I'm going to give you the top mistakes that people have on their resume. And at the same time, I'm going to give you the top 10 tips to make sure that you have the best pilot resume. And at the end, I'm going to give you some resources for creating a proper pilot resume and where you can get a free one. So definitely stick around to the end. If you're listening to the show, I'm going to say today's a good day to go back and watch it on YouTube. We're going to have some graphics pop up that are going to show different resumes and different formats and different opportunities. So I want you to take a look at that. Having said all that, I'd love you to subscribe to the show. Share it with a friend, whoever's in your posse. Make sure they know about the show. It's great to have more people involved. All right. Well, let's start with an overview, okay? So what is a resume? Well, it comes from a French word that means summary. And I'm talking a brief summary. So it's not your autobiography. And that leads us right into tip number 1. Your resume is your first adventure into a new job. All right. So make sure it's easy to read. Make sure it's only one page. I cannot tell you how many times I have met a pilot and they've had a big fat resume that's like multiple pages, 5, 6, 7 pages sometimes. And I'll take a look at it and I'll tear off the front page and I'll say, hey, does this page tell me everything there is to know about you? Can you do everything with this just one page? And they say no. And I said, all right, that's the first thing we're going to do is work on that. Okay. So that being said, now that we've got a 1-page resume, we've got to pick a font. Make it a basic font. Don't get crazy. Don't try to get fancy with this stuff, people. Don't go any smaller than 10 pitch font, please. Please try to keep it 10 or even 12 if you can. And that is for a really important reason. the people that are looking at your resume, a lot of times, once you're over 40 years old, you've got to start wearing glasses. And if you are looking at a resume that has really small font and you're just trying to look at it, it can make it difficult. It's no fun for the person you're talking to. So make it easy for them. Okay. Bulletization, stay basic, y'all. You don't need little diamonds and cool designs and things. If you're going to use bullets, use the black bullet and the tab bullet. Make it a circle, make it easy, and only bold things that are super important that you want to draw somebody's eye to. If you are going to use the bold command on your document machine, then make sure that it is just easy to draw somebody's eye to something important. We're not going to use pictures. We're not going to use colors. There's not going to be any emojis. We're doing basic. We aren't looking for a job in the creative space. You're looking for a job to be a highly paid insurance policy. We're getting hired to keep people and property safe, and that's what a pilot does. So be conservative with your approach because that's what people want to see. All right, on to tip number 2. Let's start at the top, and we'll see that's where all your personal information is going to go. Every inch of the space counts. It's super duper important, so make sure that you make it count. Use your full name. Use it front and center, bold right there, include your middle name, and then please don't put your call sign on there. Please, I'm talking to you, Air Force and Navy. You guys, keep your call signs out of there. We don't want that conversation for now. Get your personal details on there right below. Left side, address, right side, cell phone number, next line right below it, email. Pro tip 2.1. I want you to create a new and simple email address, not skydaddy69 at AOL.com. Do something simple, put your first name, last name, and remove the hyperlink when you put it on there. This is a really good tip, and here's why. That email, that will be the one that you use to fill out applications, and that'll be the one that people contact you with. It'll help you keep focused. You'll not miss anything. An important email that comes through, you'll be able to respond to it. And here comes pro tip 2.2. Make sure you check your junk mail regularly, especially if you're trying to get on with an airline, some big company. A lot of times that'll get dropped off into your junk mail box, and you just want to make sure that folder is accounted for. Okay, so moving on to tip number 3. You don't need an objective statement. You do not need an objective statement. Everybody knows you're a pilot. Everybody knows you're looking for a pilot job. All you do there is you're wasting space, and that is important. That brings us to tip number 4, the next 2 sections, and they're specific to pilots, and they can go in any order. I'll list them in order that I think look best, and the first is certifications and ratings. So here is where you're going to put your most important thing to your least important thing horizontally. So you can start with like ATP, and then you separate each one by that little vertical bar below your backspace button. That is a little vertical bar. So you put your space before it, vertical bar, space after it. So you got your ATP, you put that. And then you put your space in your vertical bar, and you put the next thing, whether it's commercial or multi or whatever it is. And then at the end of that, you want to add your type ratings. Have those type ratings on there in case this job you're looking for is specific to a Challenger type rating or something to that nature. Are you typed in a Hawk, or maybe you are? If you're an MEI or a CFI or a CFII, that'll go on there on the next line. And then you put your FAA first class medical, your passport, your green card, your FCC radio telephone operator permit. That goes on there last. It's the dumbest thing that the government makes you do in aviation, but you got to do that and pay your $60 and move on. So that's the first section. The next section, it's going to be your flight time. This is so important. You can do it a couple different ways. You can build 3 or 4 columns for your flight time. And that's going to bring us to pro tip number 5. Use bold for subtle impact. This is where you're going to use some bold. I like bold on total time. I like it on total PIC. I like it on total turbine. Put them right across the top. Makes it nice and easy to see. I'm sorry, helicopter boys and girls. Helicopter time is helicopter time. It is not turbine time. I didn't make the rules, but you just want to make sure that you've got it on there. You're thinking about that. Add your multi-engine, your single engine, your SIC, helicopter time, instructor time. You can add all that below that. I also like when people break out their 121 or 135 time. That's good to see. That helps potential employers know that you have that time and that you're experienced in it right up front. You could also add specific aircraft hours if you feel like that's relevant. Military, do not use the hour conversion. No need. You can put no conversion in parentheses, and that would be really good. And that keeps everybody on track. You don't have to do mental math. If they want to add that later on, let them do it. I do want to say that some people put their certificates and ratings and their flight time one above the other, and sometimes others make a column on the left for certifications, and then on the right for their flight time. Both are acceptable. Find out what works best for you. Just make sure that it looks nice, that it's tight, and that it's easy to read. And the next section, right? So we have our top information with your personal information. We have the next sections with certifications. Then we have our flight time. The next one is the meat of everything, and that's your professional experience. Tip number 6, okay? Tip number 6 of how to have a killer resume is to pay close attention to your spacing and format. Pick one, stick with it. On the left, you can bold out your employer's name. Below that, any positions that you had within that organization, maybe aircraft flown. And then over on the right side, you can put city and state. Maybe it's a country, maybe it's another country that you're flying in. So put that there. And then under the dates, under that, the dates that you work there goes right under the city and state. That helps keep the days and the years organized as you work your way down. Start with your most recent employer and work your way backwards. And so if you started that job at the beginning in January of 2025 to present, then you would say present on there, and you can just write that word. That way they know that's where you're working right now. And then we'll have 2 or 3 bullets of description of duties. And for each one of those is real important how you write it. The more jobs you've had, the more time you're going to have to massage this. And that leads us to tip number 7. All right. Lean towards 3 different things that you're writing about. I want you to write about leadership. I want you to write about safety. I want you to write about crew resource management. And there's a lot you can do with that. And as you're writing, think of those things and how you're going to address them and how you're going to bring out what you've done. It doesn't really matter if you managed $5 million worth of aircraft parts or some amount of money. What really matters is that you led your people, that you were a good pilot, that you were a safe pilot, that you use crew resource management, and that you're a pro at it. And so bring those out. And that leads us right to tip number 8 of how to bring that out. You've got to make sure you are using action verbs. Action verbs are words like developed and implemented and established and things like that. That is an action verb. So you could say, I developed and I implemented squadron aviation safety mishap protocols, or I established company safety management systems. I trained 5 pilots as crew resource management facilitators. I led a squadron of 334 airmen on 15 aircraft on a 2-year-long worldwide combat deployment. You can use those words in there to really accentuate and give impact to the things that you've done. So now we're almost at the end here. We got tip number 9, and that is going to be for my military folks that have had long careers. I'm talking to you O6s, general officers. If you have been in the aviation industry for a long time, you've got a lot of stuff on your resume, and you're going to need to try to figure out how to leave some stuff out. There's not enough room to put everything on there, and you're going to have to either condense things like maybe flight training and drop that into one bucket and put one little bullet about it. Or even some people will leave things out that are non-flying tours. It just depends on how you're feeling about it. Go through a couple different iterations of it and see what you think. And just make sure that you can get it onto one page. So that's all of our experience. We've written it all out. And now we've got the next section, which I think could be the most important part. And this is tip number 10. Recruiters love to see people give back to their community. And if you're not already giving back, you need to go ahead and get involved, and you need to be a leader in the thing that you're doing, something having to do with aviation. Find the thing you love, go 110%, be a leader. If you're military, you could also add your achievements to this section, or you could create a totally separate section for it. I want to say be careful with that, because if you're tight on space, you might curtail your list of achievements. Your GWAT kind of doesn't matter. Your McDonald's ribbon, all of those regular things that you get throughout a career, unless it's super impactful, some kind of distinguished flying cross or silver star or something with a V device on there. Those are things you want to bring out and talk about and bring forward. The only real thing I had on my resume, I got I think it's called the Distinguished Volunteer Service Medal, which is a very unusual medal, but I put it on there, and in my interview, they actually asked about it because they thought, man, that's a weird one. I hadn't even heard about that one. And that was for some of the work that I had done on my instructor tour. And it was a really great way to have a conversation. So now we've got all of our achievements and things. We're moving on to our final section, which is education. I want you to think about those things. Your high school doesn't really matter. I want you to include college, any military schools that are pertinent to aviation. Your PME stuff doesn't really matter, but crew resource management instructor, maybe you went to safety school, maybe you went to test pilot school. You can put that on there. If you were some kind of like magna cum laude, or you want to show that you were smart, put it on there. If you were dumb like me, skip that stuff. You don't need to put your GPA on there. If you pass, you passed. You're going to have you're going to have to bring all of your stuff to the interview that shows your transcripts and all that. And so that's it. That's a resume. We've talked through a resume pretty quick, but I do have a couple of other things that you should probably consider. And I want you to bring this with you, okay? Think simple. It's an overview of your career. It's not an autobiography, like I said up top. Know it forward and backward. You have to know yourself. You have to know your resume. You have to be able to talk to it. You have to be able to fill in any gaps and have a conversation about that in depth when somebody asks you. So know it, practice it, and then get creative with your margin spacing. Gain some real estate. You can those left and right margins, the top and bottom margins, and get them organized how you want. Too much white space is your enemy unless you're just new to aviation. If you're new to the job and you've got a short resume, hey, don't hate. It's cool. You'll be good. Just know that each thing you do, you'll be able to bring more and more and more to that resume. You'll be able to fill it out, and you'll still be able to get jobs with it. You just got to have it looking tight and looking like a pro. And let's talk about some don'ts, because I think that's really, when I look through all these resumes, I made two columns. I made a list of things I really liked about resumes. I made a list of things I really didn't like. And we talked earlier about colors and fonts and emojis and stuff. But I want you to think about your work experience. Don't just make a list, like a short bulletized list. I want you to give solid details. Use those action verbs. Make it stand out. And that is going to help the person looking at your resume to understand who you are. Don't just list your volunteer work. Tell what you did. Give the details. Make sure they know that you were a leader and that you worked hard in this thing. Make sure when you print this thing, or maybe you save it to PDF, make sure all the columns line up. I've seen a few where they're just kind of wonky. Realize what you've got and go through it, print it out, take a look, save the PDF, verify every single word, every single line, every period, every dash, whatever it is. Don't just type and go, right? Give feedback, get feedback, have others critique your resume. Your availability, you don't need to put your availability on there unless it's pretty far out, like think months, think years. That's when it's important to include that in your conversation. If you are going to be at a meet and greet or something and talk to a recruiter, you need to let them know when you're available so that they know how and when to pull the trigger on the interview for you. Narratives. You don't need a narrative. that's what the conversation's going to be about with that person that's recruiting you, that chief pilot, whoever it's going to be. And you're just using up that space, that valuable space that you have with your narrative. So be careful with that. This is a big one. Do not indicate any religious or political beliefs, some kind of stand that you want to make on your resume. It's not a good time for that. It's not a good idea to put that you support some kind of ideology or that you don't support some kind of ideology. This is only about flying. This is not about anything else, because you got to be so careful. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what they believe and what they don't, how they feel about different stuff. So just be aware of that, and just be a pro. Don't use AI. Don't use AI. It's just starting to become a thing now where people are showing up with these AI generated resumes and they're trash. They don't like them. The recruiters, that's been the conversation this year that I've had with recruiters. These AI resumes, it's super obvious. Recruiters don't like it. They get real annoyed. And I think that's a really smart thing to avoid. All right. Now, if you go to my website, spitfireelite.com/podcast, you can download one for free. I've got a civilian resume template and a military resume template. You can take a look at it. It's a PDF. It's very basic, but it'll help you get the sequence and work on that. Use that as your baseline, and then work off of it. Get it to be yours. Get it to be special to you. And all that being said, once your resume is complete, it's a really good time to join Spitfire Elite, because our coaches will review your resume. They'll review your application. They'll help you get ready for that interview so that you can crush. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you peace of mind that you're bringing the best product to the game. And that's what I want you to remember, is bring your A game every single time. If you are going to go to a convention or meet up with somebody, you need to make sure that resume is ready. You need to make sure it's amazing, and you can. So take these tips, top 10 tips, think about the don'ts, and make that resume awesome. I know you can. I'm looking forward to seeing your resume. All right. So I think that's probably all I got to say about that. I hope you enjoyed this one, and Monday's right around the corner for the next interview episode. We'll see you.
All right, pilots, that's the episode. I hope you've really enjoyed it. But before you go, do me a quick favor, subscribe to my show and leave me a review. Give me a 1-star review if it was totally worthless. Give me a 5-star review if it was the most amazing thing you've ever heard. I want to hear from you. So if you can give me a review, subscribe to the podcast, make yourself a little bit better, I will be happy. You'll be happy. We'll keep crushing. I cannot wait to see you on the next episode.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute professional advice. The producers and sponsors make no representations or warranties regarding the accuracy, completeness, or applicability of the content.